Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, a program where we celebrate and have conversations with different people and organizations who are impacting lives and contributing to other people's life all over the world. Yes, the program as well is used to celebrate and highlight people, places, and positive news. I am Dr. Kemi Akiode Adebayo, known as Mama K, and in today's program to share our story is the calm entrepreneur Catriona Holding. She is the co-owner of Works in Progress, which is based in Cape Town, South Africa. Catriona, welcome to Impact Africa. How are you today?
No, I'm great. I'm doing really good. Yeah. Nice
You know,
to
I'm
meet
wearing this green thing, and that is just to support the fact that you're from Ireland.
Oh yeah, Ergajaria.
Yes, from Dublin. So tell us where, I know you were born in Dublin.
Yeah.
Tell us about life in Dublin, family,
Yeah.
Irish culture, whatever you want to share. Before the program started, we were talking about the language. So share with us some of that.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a time in the 70s. So I was born in 1970. So I grew up in a time when there wasn't a palpable difference between people in terms of material kind of stuff. You know, it was more, everyone was kind of on an even playing field to a certain extent. And if you weren't, it wasn't kind of obvious that you weren't, if you know what I mean. And there was a lot of playing out in the streets. There was a lot of that kind of cliched sort of like, childhood sort of, ecstasy stuff, yeah. And it was really great. I mean, look, I was the eldest of a large family as well. And I mean, my parents were from large families, yeah.
I'm the eldest.
Yeah, so you know what it's
How is it being an eldest?
Yeah, so it was just that stereotypical idyllic 70s childhood. You had your food, you know what I mean? You had enough to eat, you got your education, you had your roof over your head. It was kind of perfect in a sense. If you look at stuff now, it was very uncomplicated. And I mean, it's not to say it wasn't complex, but it wasn't complicated. There weren't people turning hills into mountains all over you, and all around you. It was just like, oh, you're a kid, you go and do your thing and we'll do our thing. And, if you need us, we're here. And if you don't, there you go. So like we would be relatively, compared to when I came to South Africa, I was quite shocked at how constrained children were, because we literally ran up and down the village and over and around, and it was just incredibly unconstrained. And that's not to say it was perfect, but there was an element there of room for making mistakes without them being analysed and kind of subjected to kind of unnecessary sort of building, as I said, turning hills into mountains, that kind of thing. And it was just very, very clear.
And did you study in Dublin?
Yeah, I did. I went to school in Dublin, and then I did a day I left home when I was about 17, 18. I did my final exams, the leaving certificate. I headed to London and started working. I'd worked for my father from when I was about 11 in a restaurant.
What was
he had
your
a
dad
load of
doing?
restaurants.
Oh, your dad was in the
different
hospitality.
kind of, exactly.
Okay.
So then I headed to London, and I got work in London, and I was kind of lucky because I was young, and London was absolutely amazing. Any culture you wanted was there, and any food you wanted to play with.
Oh, I love London.
Yeah,
I just love London.
Yeah.
It's my second home after Lagos.
Yeah, totally. And it was just amazing because I didn't come from, that picture of Ireland is that it's very parochial and whatever. But actually, we didn't have lots of stuff, but we had a lot of kind of mental stuff, if you want to put it like that. We were well read. We kind of didn't necessarily, meet loads of foreigners, but we knew about foreigners in the sense of, they weren't from Ireland. So when I went to London, it was really, really cool because I really got to meet the people that I had read about and imagined in my life and stuff from all different parts of the world. And the food was amazing. You could literally, if you wanted to experiment with Japanese food, you could. If you want to experiment with West Indian food, you could. Indian food, it was just an absolute joy. It's not the kind of place that I would have. I was kind of lucky because I knew I could leave London. You meet a lot of people there, especially in the Irish kind of areas where people were kind of stuck there because they had gone there because it was good money and they were getting out of the farming community or they were getting out of whatever. And you know, that was cool. But then you kind of tend to get stuck in an enclave. And I kind of was really sure that I didn't want to get stuck in an Irish enclave. I didn't want to reproduce Ireland in London for myself. Do you know what I mean? I just, that was just my instinct.
So as
it
an Irish,
mean it's right or wrong.
As an Irish, what are you mostly proud of? Because I know, you know, a lot of people always think Irish, the dance, the farming, the stouts. So what are you mostly proud of as an Irish?
I think I'm just really, really proud of the fact that when you're in Ireland, and I think this is what Ireland gives us as its citizens, is that you can literally have a conversation with anyone. And you're not afraid, generally speaking, in my experience, you're not afraid of other people. You really want to know about them and to know about where they've come from and how they've been. And it's part of that storytelling kind of heritage, I think. You want to know what other people's stories are and their narratives and how they get from, you know, A to Z and stuff like that. Like, you really, I think that inquiring curiosity about other people is really cool. And I think it is quite an Irish thing.
So what brought you to Cape Town, South Africa?
Oh, yeah,
That's far.
Yeah, it's
What
mad.
brought you and when did you come to Cape Town?
I came
South Africa?
I came originally as a kind of a, it sounds really voyeuristic if you're South African, right? But it was about 93, 94.
Okay.
And I loved history as a kid, you know. I really loved my history. And the Berlin Wall fell down, you know, and I couldn't go there. And I was really, because I really wanted to be part of history. Even that sounds really crazy, right? But you know the way, when you're taught history in school, they always highlight really kind of mad moments. But it's the sort of stuff leading up to the mad moments and after the mad moments that's actually the history. So in my head, I had this really romantic idea of, like, I really wanted to be present at the elections, the first 3 elections. You know, and my grandmother was South African. Yeah, she's from Kimberley. Yeah.
Right.
She didn't actually get to live in South Africa because they all went over to Ireland to meet the mother's sister. She got left behind because she got scarlet fever. The war broke out. They all had to get back to South Africa really fast. They left her behind. When they came back together, she bonded with the aunt and they couldn't take her back to South Africa.
Wow.
So because of her, we're in Ireland.
Wow.
It's kind of mad, yeah.
Wow, that is deep and interesting. That's some history. So did you experience the what's it called, the changeover then?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, again, I'm probably romanticizing it totally. And if you are South African and you live there, you probably think, oh, what a voyeuristic person. But yeah, it wasn't really about that. It was really about trying to be, you know, to look at history and see history in action in a life. This was my life in time that I'm alive, and I really wanted to see, you know, I mean, I never even envisaged having children, but it's the kind of thing where you're like, oh, I was there. You know? Yeah, I was in Bequenny. It's a township just outside Paarl.
Okay.
It's just full of amazing women, particularly, actually. And I was there, and another friend of mine, she was Irish, but she was born in South Africa, so she actually got to do the vote herself. And it was just really cool, you know. It was very raw, in a sense, you know. But it was also, some of it was quite cynical as well, so it's quite interesting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Now let's go to the South African culture, Irish culture.
Yeah.
What have you picked, you know, and having a grandmother that was originally from here, what have you picked, you know, what are you proud of having that South African culture? What have you benefited or learned over the years?
I've just been shown the most incredible, like, I've been shown the most incredible grace and kindness by absolute strangers here. Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. And from when I first came over, like, even when I was practicing Twaina, like, I was trying to get volunteers to practice Twaina on, like, I was absolutely penniless, you know, but I really needed my clinical experience. I mean, I still do, like, but the women in Bequenny and in Paarl East as well, but Bequenny in particular, they let me practice on them. And they were really amazing, you know, they really gave of themselves. Like, I mean, at some level, it must have been kind of good for them as well, in terms of they appreciated it. Because if you do it once and they don't like it, they're not going to let you.
At all.
But they just really let me develop my love for something on their backs, in a sense, you know. And that is one of the things that they just had the most incredible grace and kindness, really. And it's not like just that, but that was particularly pertinent to me as a person developing. And I was quite emotionally immature as well, you know, I have to say. And those women, just by their absolute rock solid sort of ability to get up each day and just be their equilibrium, you know, it was just amazing. You know, they get up each day, they go to bed each night, but in between there's a whole swathe of stuff that they've done and achieved. And it's not the kind of stuff you're ever going to go hear praise singing for, you know what I mean? But it's the kind of stuff that our world is rocking and rolling because of people like that. Do you know what I mean? It's...
Now let's go to traditional Chinese medicine.
Oh, yeah.
How did you get into that? And I'm not surprised you're an entrepreneur, because you said, you know, earlier on that your dad had a restaurant. So obviously, and you said you started working at the age of 11 in the restaurant. And my sons can probably say the same thing about me, because I had a restaurant, you know, in Scotland. So how did you get into now deciding, okay, you want to work for yourself? And how did you get into the Tai Chi traditional Chinese medicine?
Well, it's quite mad, right? It's just that I love cooking. Like, I love the act of cooking. It's kind of, it's more important to me than anything, you know? And I was kind of at a stage in my career where I was working. My father and I actually co-owned a restaurant in Dublin.
Okay.
And it was great and everything. But I was really like, oh man, local produce only, experimental, this, that, and the other. And he was like, I've got to feed and clothe and send my 6 other children to school. And I was just like, okay, well, obviously the twain ain't going to meet here, you know? So it was ultimately, we didn't communicate enough with each other.
Right.
Like, he still taught my daughter, and I still taught my father, you know? But it was, we were working together, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. So in the end, I started thinking to myself, because I've been in London, worked in London, I'd seen a lot of chefs in their 40s and stuff. Like, either they're alcoholic, or they're mad, or they've got stomach issues, or they're just really ill, like, by the time they're 40. And I was just like, no, that's not cool.
Not going to do
I was just like, I'm not, I can see myself falling into that trap. I'm going a bit mad as it is, and I'm not going to do that. And then I just thought, okay, let me try and reclaim some space where I can just work out another career for myself and still cook the way I want to cook and the way I love, you know. And it sounds really self-indulgent, but ultimately, if I had stayed there, I would have done a lot of damage, do you know what I mean, to myself and possibly to other people. So it was just better to kind of do that, cause a lot of hassle, but get out. So I came to South Africa primarily because my gran was from here, and that was just something that she never really lost her love of, even though she didn't really know it that well, you know, because she was really young. But so then I came here, and then I decided to study here. And so I applied to UCT and got my visas and everything. But the second year, I had problems with my visa, because it wasn't clear that at the time, I think it is clear now, that you need a visa for the study, which is for 4 years, but then you need the residency, which is only per year, okay? And I was just completely like not, I don't know, I think they could have been a bit more helpful. But anyway, so I was going a bit mad there, because they wanted to deport me immediately, and I was like, well, you know, that's not cool. So I really...
Even though your grandmother was from here?
Oh yeah, but that's no good. Yeah, you need, I think you need a parent or something. Yeah. So basically, I was like, I was being helped, and I was really lucky, but I had to do things that were getting a bit kind of counterproductive. Like, I had to sign into the library specially every time I wanted to use the library, and that was every day and stuff. And like, that sounds stupid, you know what I mean? But on top of everything, and like just trying to keep an even keel, and I was like, wow, I really need to do something here. I'm going to go mad, like, you know. And then I found Tai Chi, and then my teacher was Marlene B.
This was, which year was that?
That was... I'll have to send you the correct one. I think it was 90.
It's fine. 20 years ago or
was that 2000? No, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, I started doing Tai Chi, and my teacher at the time was Marlene Bilas, and her teacher was Dr. Lin Feng Chow. And basically, I started with her, and then I was like, wow. And then at the end of the year, she said, okay, we're going to have a session, and my teacher's going to come and do Tai Chi with us. I was like, okay, cool. And then he came, and I was just like, oh my God, that's like absolutely amazing. And I want to be old like that, okay? And he wasn't even that old, you know? And I was like, I want to be old like that, and I want to be able to have all my faculties and to be able to move and groove as I would like to be. And then I just asked him, could I do it?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are the benefits of Tai Chi? What do you do with Work in Progress with, you know, because I know we met at we're going to talk about Sunrise, at the Museumburg Flea Market or Sunrise, I don't know what it's called, whereby, you know, you do massage, and the people I spoke to that day, they were like, wow, you know, I'm still waiting to get my back for the full body, not just my back. And I am. And I'm going to do it really soon. And I'm going to come and share my experience as well.
Okay, good.
So what are the benefits and what is Tai Chi about?
Yeah, well, Tai Chi Chuan is basically a Chinese martial art, okay? So and it uses internal energy as opposed to external. So karate is an example of external energy.
Right.
So basically, force is what you use with karate. So you use muscular energy. With Tai Chi Chuan, you're using your dantian. That's simplest, but basically you're using the chi to move. Okay. So your energy, you cut out a lot of white noise in movement. Okay. So it's a simple example, when you brush your teeth in the morning, a lot of people tend to do this kind of thing. Yes. Now see, already there's about 3 points there you can remove, and you can just like brush your teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's very simplistic. Even just opening your, drinking your coffee. You don't have to do it like that, you can just do it like that. You're opening something. You're kind of opening it with your arm, but if you open it with your belly, I'm being simplistic, but if you open it with your belly, you'll have a much better time. Right. In terms of you'll have the whole of the body to do the opening, rather than just one part of your body and then that part getting strained or stressed or whatever. Okay.
So I know some of the information you said earlier was about, you know, it improves circulation. It's a weight bearing exercise. Yeah,
that's really important for injuries.
And it helps with things like diabetics and heart disease and so on. Okay.
So we have someone who regularly comes to us. She comes every second week.
Right.
She said that we didn't know this, but she said to us, well, one of the reasons she's coming back to us is because she's noticed that her blood pressure has gone down.
So it can help with blood pressure?
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming. I don't want to take no medication, although mine is very peculiar. Apparently, my blood pressure is based on my lifestyle, which everybody is, but mine is very peculiar.
Okay.
You know, whereby I have to, if I take the tablet sometimes, today it can help it. Tomorrow it goes way too low and I have to skip.
Okay.
So I need to come off do something. But that'll be. So tell us about where you do it and how and the cost.
So
just share with us.
We started in October doing it at Sunrise Circle Market or Musenberg Flea Market. And basically every Sunday that market operates. And we wanted it to be obvious what we were doing. Okay, so because massage, sometimes the valency of massage is quite kind of it's given attributes that it doesn't necessarily possess in a sense. So we think like massage is something that's very basic, like a mother is comforting her child. That's massage.
Yes.
And so it's not something that is given any credence to a certain extent, because you just expect a mother to comfort a child, or you expect someone to help someone who's walking along in a manner that needs support. So we just wanted to kind of like showcase that this is something that's actually really accessible. And it is way it's probably way better to choose it as an option initially if you're in a state of pain, or if you're in a state like with your head or your neck or something, your arms, you know. It's probably better to look at that first as an option rather than just running off for some painkillers or, you know, and I'm not dissing that, but what I'm saying is, in terms of cost benefits analysis, it'll be very hard for you to be made worse by a massage.
Right.
And in fact, alleviation is possibly what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, especially if it's not a big accumulation of a habit, a postural habit. Yeah.
We'll be right back for more. So, Catriona, you were born in Dublin.
Yeah.
Came to South Africa, have South African origin in terms of your grandmother being originally from here, and then kind of, I would say, stumbled, into Tai Chi, and now you're doing that, and eldest of a large family.
Yeah.
Started in business with your dad in the restaurant at the age of 11, and even co-owned it, and then moving into this area of work. What has been some of the challenges for you as an entrepreneur that you've experienced? And how have you overcome them?
Well, in particular with the Catriona, it's like people, they kind of trying you out, right? So they'll go, oh, do my feet. And you'll be like, okay. And then they'll be like, wow, this is okay. And then they're like, and there's a queue of people behind. They're like, do my head, neck, and shoulders. And you're like, dude, you know, don't skip the queue, you know. So that's a kind of a communication challenge, yeah. So there's a lot of that goes on. And then also, if people come to you and they've like been like this for 20 or 30 years, a massage is not going to, in 30-minute session, it's not going to change that. And in fact, and the other thing that is quite challenging is people go, oh, do you do a hard massage or do you do a soft massage? And you're like, dudes, like the massage is between you and me. And you're a person, your whole map is it can't be me going, oh, I'm going to do hardness on you, I'm going to do softness. It's about what does this require? You know, and how is it going to be for the person involved? Okay, how will their adjustment in the surrounding tissues and the surrounding bones and the muscular, how will that be if you just suddenly, not even suddenly, but if you just change a little bit here, a little bit there, what's that going to be like? And so you have to really gauge the person. Like when I was first learning it, you know, I would approach a person and I'd be like, I'd have my picture of a spine in my head, you know, from a book. And I'd be like, oh, this isn't conforming to the picture in my head. Why not, you know? And that's like, you really have to, you really learn that it's the person you're working with. That's what you're working with. And it doesn't matter if they don't look like X, Y, or Z from the medical book or whatever, you know, or the anatomy book. It's got to be you working with them as they present themselves. So if you go, well, what's your pain level between, you know, what's the number between 1 and 5 or whatever, and they go 8. Well, you've got to accept that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you've
because
got to
they've got out with things out of the box.
And you can't be, you must just accept it and work with how they present themselves and what that means to them,
So what are you mostly proud of as an entrepreneur so far? For you, what are you mostly like, you know, I could give myself a pat on the back that I've done this?
I'm kind of proud of the fact that that the things that I'm passionate about have not intruded too heavily upon my family in the sense that we're integrated. Do you know what I mean? So my passions are hopefully not something that will intrude on their life, but will help them to see how they find their passions. Do you know what I mean? So what I'm hoping is that my passion for Catriona or Tai Chi or Chinese medicine is not something that will put them off following their passions. That their passions will they can go, wow, she was passionate about that, so I can be passionate about this. You know what I mean? So I think there's an integration that I'm kind of proud of in terms of our family.
So why are you hoping for the future? I know you said works in progress because you're kind of still, you know, you're not there yet.
And also people themselves are works in progress, aren't they? Yeah, 'cause their journey.
So people themselves.
And like when people come to you, it kind of, I think, like you're kind of honoring the fact that if somebody even casually goes, oh, I'm going to have a massage, that's a big step in terms of their overall health, kind of how they feel about themselves. And I think you have to kind of honor that and sort of, it's a big step. Even if they don't think it's a big step, I think it's quite huge. If you're trying to get out of a paradigm which is industrial medicine and you're kind of looking at other alternatives, that's great. And I think, in African traditional medicine, there's like the Abakalithi, the women that help their midwives. And I'd really love to develop that further. And I kind of qualify now because I'm a mother with 3 children. So basically, and I've done the whole kids at home thing. So I think I might actually qualify if I'm ever lucky enough to find someone who will take me on.
I'm sure there will be, because that's an area that definitely childbirth, you know, could help.
I think childbirth it's not a toilet function, and I think unfortunately it's like, death and birth. They're not toilet functions, but unfortunately, to a certain extent, in the industrial medicine paradigm, that's how they're being framed. And you know, you're just I don't like that whole like it or lump it attitude towards women, especially women who are perceived as being poor, but they're not. They might be poor materially, but they're not poor in spirit. You know what I mean? And that's a really radical kind of misunderstanding of human beings. You know, oh, you haven't got X amount of stuff, so therefore you're.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
We'll be right back. So, wow, that's us, in terms of works in progress and everything else that you've been doing, which you're dedicated and, you put your passion in, and I can see it, already, by you just describing what you say. So what keeps you going? Why do you wake up in the morning? What motivates you to keep doing what you're doing?
Feeding us.
That's a good one. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is kind of number one.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I think the journey, in a way, is what really teaches you is that what matters has in a sense is close to you, because you've kind of created what's close to you. So that has to be, I think, your number one in terms of how you proceed, because that is something that you have created and you need to nurture and look after. And I think one of the great things about this entrepreneurial journey, in a sense, is that you start being quite ruthless in how you know what's important and what's not important. And I think the most important thing is to be totally and utterly as good as you can be, because your surroundings might be a bit grotty or a bit not like slick. But if you do the job in a really professional manner and you're like up to the mark in what needs to happen, and your people walk away from you going, wow, I might go back there, or they don't need to because you've done such a good job, they don't ever need to see you again, then that's really cool, That's kind of what kind of motivates me. And also, the fact is that it's never ending. It's just always, every day, there's something to learn.
Something new.
And there's somebody that presents themselves and you're like, wow, that's really different, I've never encountered this situation before, and then you get to know them and they get to know you, and it just becomes a really great exchange. And that's why, again, I think anybody in this kind of a profession, you need to be careful of the people you're working with, because actually they're your teacher. They're the ones that are giving of themselves freely to you, and generally they're paying you as well. And it's really important to just honor that, because my experience is dependent. My ability as a masseuse is dependent on working with people. Yeah.
So what are 3 things for you that you value most in life?
Well, my family is kind of obvious, I guess. Yeah. And family? I value the other. And I think the other...
What do you mean by the other?
Well, I was brought up as a Catholic, right?
Yes.
And Sean actually converted to being a Catholic himself. So he's
Sean, your husband?
Yeah. He's my partner, so he teaches as well, Tai Chi Chuan. So basically the other, as a kid, like, people are very dismissive of Ireland and the Catholicism and stuff, and even in Ireland. But, Catholicism gave me a sense of the other. It gave me the ability to imagine a world outside my material realm. It gave me a way of saying, okay, there is another possibility. There is another potential. There is, there is a way of looking at the world that doesn't have to be just this way. And I really appreciate that. And the third one is food. Being able to grow food is really.
So you grow food as well?
No, I'm in the halfpenny place. Yeah. But having the ability to be able to do so is kind of cool. Yeah.
So, what is your definition of success? When people say, "Oh, that person is successful," what do you think that means?
Oh yeah, I don't really. I mean, it can mean anything relative
for you.
To how,
I'm asking.
Yeah.
For you,
sure.
How would you define the success?
Well, I think my definition of success at the moment is like, I'm doing something I really, really feel I love. But at the same time, I'm not doing it to the detriment of my family. They're all getting fed, they're all clothed, we've still got a roof over our head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is, for me, at this moment in time, yeah. And the successful part of it is that I'm in the world, not necessarily creating great things, but I'm not damaging the world that I'm in, you know, hopefully. Touch wood. Yeah.
So leadership.
Yeah,
What does
leadership.
leadership mean to you?
Yeah,
And
well,
what qualities do you think a leader should have? Because obviously, in the restaurant business, you know, when you were there, you must have somebody,
Oh,
you know,
God,
the
yeah,
chef
yeah.
as there, or, you know,
Yeah.
even though now yourself and Sean are
Yeah.
kind of co-owners, you don't have anybody working under you. But however, if you grow, you know,
Yeah.
you have that potential of being
Yeah.
a leader. What are the personal qualities you think a leader should have? And what is your
Yeah.
definition
Well,
of
I
leadership?
think for me, a definition, if, you know, in terms of leadership, I think it's being able to do exactly, it's being able to walk the talk. If you can't walk the talk, then I don't think, it's not about telling someone what to do and expecting them to do it, you know, and also expecting them to do things unquestioningly. I don't, that wouldn't be. So it is really about being able to coordinate, but also about knowing the minutiae and the nuance of everything you're asking someone to do or not do, or you're asking yourself to do or not do. Yeah, I think that's really important, that you're as rigorous as the person you're expecting to be around you. Yeah.
You were already earlier on talking about your journey, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, which probably started at a very, very early age, and working under others, and a lot of, you know, coming back to working for yourself and so on. You've already shared some of the life lessons, I believe, but I want to know, what are some of the other key life lessons, you know, that you've learned that you'll be able to advise your youngest daughter or a younger Catriona in Dublin to say, you know what, do this, don't do this. What are some of the key life lessons you've learned, you know, that will help somebody that might want to go into being a chef or being an entrepreneur or being, you know, whatever they want to do?
I think the principles are quite universal to a certain extent. It doesn't matter whether you're a chef or whether you're, you know, a road sweeper. I think the idea is that, one, I think you have to really like yourself. And I don't mean like yourself in a glib manner. I mean, you have to profoundly be okay with the fact that you have maybe messed up in your life, you have done really great things in your life, but either way, you are still you. And the things you've done or not done are kind of clothing. But inside, you're still the person. So whether you're down in the dust or whether you're up in the sky, that you are still you, and you're okay with that.
Okay. I like that, but I want to go deeper on this one a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
So what are some steps that maybe you could have said, you know what, with what I know now, I wouldn't have done that.
Okay,
Or with what I know now, I would have done that.
Yes.
Maybe if you share that with us.
Okay. I think one of the things that I'd be very, very, as I was younger, I would have been a lot more careful with working out how to make sure I knew the law around certain aspects of things. Yeah, and that I wouldn't be, there's a lot of gatekeeping in a lot of professions, you know, and in general in society. So I think it's really important to always stand your ground. If something is possible, then it's possible. And there's always a way, there's always a gap to find the way to do the thing you want to do. It's just, you know, people will throw all kinds of wow-wang in your face. And it's not helpful. And what is helpful is when you find out the way to do something, and then you can share that with other people. Yeah.
Right. You know what? We'll be right back. Wow. I mean, when I do this interviews and hearing people's stories, people think, oh, they're doing, you know, they're talking about themselves. But for me as well, it's a way to learn more. It's a very educated for me. And you sharing, you know, what success means to you, leadership qualities and your life journey. Now, my final question is just based on which you started with when you were speaking about the fact that poverty and a lot of issues, be it in Ireland, be it in South Africa or Africa generally, we have a lot of social and economic issues that we're facing. So for you, what social issue that you would want to see something done about it, but not just to talk about it, but to talk about what do you think the solutions, to it, be it in South Africa, be it in Congo or Nigeria or even in Ireland, you never know. So,
Well, I'm probably a bit radical about that, but like I do think pregnancy and all the stuff that surrounds it, and then breastfeeding, I think are issues that are being hijacked primarily by people who don't actually have a vested interest in a child growing up in a nurtured space. And that's primarily because, as we can see from Industrial Revolution in England, it was really inconvenient to have workers who had to go and breastfeed their kids or fathers that had to go and look after their children. So they had to kind of maintain a kind of an element of separation between the parents and the child. And that was one way they got labour in the Industrial Revolution in Europe. And I think I see the very same thing happen here, Now there's very different dynamics here. Like if you're 17 and you're pregnant, it's probably beyond the monetary value of what you're receiving if you do a semi-skilled or an unskilled job. Like say you're a domestic, okay? Yeah, you're getting money, but you're probably getting loads of other perks like old clothes, stuff like that and whatever. So that has to kind of be taken into the equation, even though it possibly costs you more money to go to the job in the first place. So there's a lot of kind of wacky stuff like that. So in the whole kind of cost benefits analysis, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that person and I can't be in that space. But for me, I don't think that women are supported, literally supported in the sense of they can go and literally be held by a mother or grandmother or an aunt. Like literally, or the whole thing where you've had a new baby and everyone's still expecting you to get up and wash and dry and whatever. Now, where are us women in the community? You see, why does it have to be a big formal NGO kind of situation? Why can't it just be the women in the community just doing their thing? I really think if a load of grannies got together, now I know grannies are just as visible and most of them are working as well, but even if you got older men, the grandfathers, what's the problem really with a group of them getting together, forming a bit of a society and being around new mothers with their babies and just helping out, letting the mother be with the baby while they did the other stuff. Like, honest to God, swallow your pride, go and do a bit of washing up so the mother can hang with her kid. It sounds really simplistic, but I think it's a simple solution, but actually it's really at a grassroots level that people need to realise that the dosh from the government or the dosh from whatever is not actually going to create a child in a healthy living space. And that's, I just think children, and if they're in the world, they need to be looked after in an optimal manner.
And by a parent, because they didn't ask to be brought into...
would be amazing.
They didn't ask to come into this.
But very often the 17-year-old has never been nurtured herself. And I think that's another part of the healing process, There's a lot of things about having a child. But one of the major things I think is that you can either use it as an opportunity to heal problems that have happened before, not because you're going, I'm going to have a child so I can heal my problems, but actually it does create that space where that can happen. And then the other thing is that your whole dynamic with your mother, with your aunts, with your sisters can also, there's a chance there for resolution. I think resolution is a really amazing gift that children born into the world give us. And taking that moment in a hardcore situation could really be the making of the next generation and the generation after, because that's a lot of the problems here are intergenerational now. There's a lot of I mean, it's not a very popular thing to say, but if you look at the Mandela family, that's a real tragedy. You know what I mean? Like, he did so much for this country. His wife, Winnie Madikizela, did so much for this country. And that family is fractured now. And it's partly because of him putting the country before them. And I'm not slagging that.
No, you're right.
But there's an element there where he came from an amazing lineage, and she probably came from an amazing lineage, and yet that lineage now is disrupted quite radically. So you have to ask yourself, who's the winner here? You know, because
deep stuff.
yeah.
Whew. Wow, you're getting me to really think, Catriona. And you remind me of Sinead O'Connor.
No, God.
You don't want to, but I don't know, maybe because of this, your haircut.
Yeah, it was around the same time. But I cut my hair in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was, as a response, I was very anti-EC. And the EC brought in this law going, all the women in the kitchen have to wear hair nets. Of course, the guys, not at all. They didn't even have to get their hair cut. Like, mostly it was short. So I was like, I'm not wearing a hairnet because they're disgusting.
Yeah.
And now I decided to shave my hair off. And then I just kept it. It was just happened to be really good. And it was, in fairness, around the same time as her. Yeah, but it really suited her. Like, she was amazing.
Yeah, it really suits you. Wow, my oh my, I know we've got way over the time.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's okay. It's been really humbling for me personally, hearing your story.
Oh, no way.
And you sharing your story. And, that's why I always say people never know what story is behind someone. Even hearing what you said, the journey, how you managed, to come and why you came to South Africa alone. For me, it's deep, and what you've been involved in so far, and the fact that you what you're doing. A lot of people go, oh, okay, have I impacted life? Yes, you have, because if I come to you for massage or to do Tai Chi or whatever, because I want to look after my health or I want to be well, and the way you make me feel when I leave is impact.
Yeah.
So you are impacting lives in your little corner about what
I just want to say though that it's more facilitating you to feel like, do you know what I mean? It's
I know. It is.
Because it's coming from you.
Exactly. But still, you're still trying to be very humble about it. But you are, putting back and making a positive difference in the lives of others. So thank you. We honor you. We celebrate you. And we wish you all the best. We will be sharing your details, for people who might want to come for any of the classes, the massage. And or even just to ask more about what you do or whatever else.
Any information.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So we will share your details.
That's even better.
So in our new style of thanking people.
Oh wow. No way, that's cool.
So this is just to say thank you.
Oh wow.
For impacting
really cool
us.
idea.
We don't have much, but as a key holder,
it's
we
lovely.
actually make things like that. So just to say we appreciate you. And for people, we're marketing our product, as well.
That's
and
really cool.
as well, I've got something else. We call this chin chin.
Yeah.
Which is a snack. It's like a lot of people have called it mandazi. It's a cross between mandazi, which is from Kenya.
Okay.
Fat cook from here.
Oh, fat
so, but it's like a biscuit cake.
Yeah.
But it's a snack.
Crouton.
So
that's really
we just
cool.
say thank you to you and
to my heart, my foodie heart. Thank you.
Exactly. You see, I didn't know you like food.
That's very cool of you.
But you can share it with the family as well.
Oh, I don't know about that. No, they don't deserve it.
So in closing, I want you to just give words of encouragement to anyone, out there. And I want you to look straight in the camera.
I think it's really easy to be discouraged because a lot of the time, even the most well-meaning people in your life are not encouraging. Not because they are trying to be sabotage you or anything, but because they're afraid. And they're afraid for you. And so their fear doesn't allow them to make space for the possibility that actually you might have a really amazing idea that needs airtime. And it doesn't allow them to see the space wherein an idea needs to be honed or it needs to be played with. It doesn't necessarily happen in the way you envisage it initially. But if it's really worth hanging on to as an idea, you will play with it. And you will have to actively ask your loved friends and family to be supportive in a very verbal sense, and you will also have to keep your calm, like really keep your inner equilibrium straight in order to deal with many things that will come at you that will try to kind of sway you from your really inner gut feeling that this is a great way to go. And that's it really, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. That was deep.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's I'm sure a lot of people will probably relate to it.
Yeah.
And we need to hear that.
Yeah, I think your own
about,
worst enemy can be yourself as well.
Exactly.
But a lot of the time it is your family as well.
Yeah. So we need to not get easily discouraged.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we're all work in. What did you put? What's the name of your business again?
Oh, works in progress. Yes, we are works in progress. Yeah, that is for sure.
So we're all works in progress.
And not be ashamed of that either.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on Impact Africa on this edition.
Right.
And we will be coming back to share more stories from various people. So, but like we said, please support Catriona and Sean with the business. And if you need more information, we will be sharing it at the end. Check them out. Send a message to them by WhatsApp. Maybe, they might be at the Sunrise or Muizenberg Flea Market or whatever on a day. Just go and have a look, see what they're about. Support them. We're about supporting local businesses. So, and you heard all what you heard about Ireland. And I hope that has encouraged you as well to find out more, about the Irish culture, because that's what this is about. Connecting with each other, learning from each other, promoting peace, promoting unity, promoting love. And you can only do that by finding out more about each other. So this is me, Mama K, signing off, saying till next time, stay safe, stay blessed. How do you say, I know you said you didn't learn Irish.
I did learn Irish, I just was never fluent.
You were never, you did learn it, but you were never
never
fluent. So can you say something for us in
Slán
Irish?
Slán leat agus gurb maithagad.
Okay, what does
That's
that
it.
mean?
Goodbye and thank you.
Okay, goodbye and
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right. Peace out.